For some reason, the city appeared to be installing purple or blue streetlights in my local area, and I couldn't figure out why because it just didn't really make sense because the street is kind of dimly lit as you can see in these photos, and I was thinking maybe it had to do something with light pollution, or maybe it's a more energy saving, cost effective measure, maybe something that these go green idiots, environmentalists, maybe even the EPA was forcing us to do now. But it's not every street light on any given street. It looks like that they're installing them in certain parking lots or maybe on street corners. But I even caught a couple of street lights not long ago that were this purplish blue color, and they weren't on a street corner or in a parking lot. It was just one random street light on a street. In fact, there were like 3 or 4 in a row that I've noticed one time, and I couldn't figure out why. It just didn't make any sense to me. So I don't know if this might be happening in your area, but yeah, it's some strange phenomenon that's been going on, but actually turns out there is a reason for it. And the reason might actually surprise you, as it certainly surprised me because I assumed it was something that was being done intentionally. So this comes from iflscience.com. Why did streetlights in the US suddenly turn purple? I mean, what the hell is going on with this? A purple haze all in my brain. Lately, streetlights don't seem the same. So this is from Tom Hale, senior journalist at this website / publication / what have you. And yeah, see, like in this image, I don't know if it's been doctored in any way or filtered or whatever, or if this is an actual image in like an early foggy morning with a whole row of these lights. Like I said, in my local area, it doesn't seem to be a long stretch of roadway that's just all blue. It just seems to be a few here and there. And I have noticed parking lots where every light in the parking lot is this bluish, purplish color. So there actually turns out to be a very logical reason for this. In recent years, nighttime revelers in the U.S. have noticed odd streetlights starting to emit an otherworldly purple haze. It isn't a psychological warfare operation. It's not a viral marketing ploy for a posthumous Prince album, but the result of LED silicone phosphor degradation. So you may have read that correctly if you understood what he just said. It has to do with the lights degrading over time. The LED bulbs, as time goes on, certain ones appear to be degrading. So let me make this a little bit bigger just so it's legible. It's estimated that at least 30 states have reported streetlights switching from a beaming white to a purple glow since 2021, according to USA Today. Similar accounts have popped up in Canada and Ireland too. The lavender lighting seems to spring up sporadically, which cases reported in cities such as Milwaukee and Eau Claire in Wisconsin, Schaumburg, Illinois, Palm Beach, Florida, and Los Angeles, California, and also St. Petersburg, Largo, Clearwater, my local area. They're dotted all over the county. So in most of these instances, it's believed the cause is degradation of the yellow silicone phosphor component of LEDs, which LED stands for light emitting diode. LEDs are semiconductor devices that emit light when an electrical current is passed through them. They're a great option for things like streetlights, as they're relatively efficient, lasting longer, and requiring less energy than traditional sodium vapor lamps. To be honest with you, like growing up when I was a kid, that's all we had. We had those sodium vapor lamps. We had orange streetlights everywhere, whether if it was down my neighborhood street or on the interstate highway system. Everything was orange. The entire city was just orange all the time. And I mean, if you're at least in your mid-30s, well, hell, even if you're in your early 30s, I'm sure you remember once upon a time when everything was lit up in orange. I mean, you know what? Actually, come to think of it, they actually kind of kept them like that up until maybe even in the 2010s was probably when they really started switching over to LEDs. But when they did, at least in my local area, I mean, it seemed to just kind of crop up overnight. It's like one day everything was orange, the next day everything was white. It was kind of strange, with the exception of a few streets here and there. I mean, yeah, there's still some streets up and down certain areas that still have those traditional sodium vapor lamps. But I mean, I guess long gone is the day when it's after dark, a thunderstorm rolls in, bright flash of lightning, and all the streetlights go out. I don't know if anybody remembers that, but I remember that when I was a kid. Every time there was a bright flash of lightning, all the streetlights just cut out because they all had, I'm assuming they had, whatever that filtering device is for, like when the sun comes up, daylight, when it gets bright enough, they automatically turn off because they've got certain sensors installed in them that would trigger them to turn off, I'm assuming to save energy. But yeah, that used to happen whenever we would get a thunderstorm in the area, at least around here. So anyway, I'll go ahead and read on. Yeah, just kind of having a blast from the past. Just thinking back in my own personal history when all these lights, they used to be orange and now they're all white and occasionally purple and blue. So anyway, blue LEDs are especially useful because the light has a shorter wavelength and therefore carries more energy than colors like red. However, blue light isn't always desirable. I mean, I would assume because it has a shorter wavelength, it carries more energy. I would assume it would require more energy to power a blue LED as opposed to something more red. But I mean, red, longer wavelength. I mean, red is not going to be nearly as efficient for streetlights as opposed to blue. But anyway, I'll digress. To address this, scientists developed an ingenious method to make the light from blue LEDs appear white. They coat the LED with a layer of yellow silicone phosphor. When the blue light excites the phosphor, it emits yellow light. The combination of the original blue light and the additional yellow light creates an emission that appears white to the human eye. Over time, the phosphor coating in certain LED devices, not all, but in certain ones, they can degrade. Without this yellowish filter, the LEDs appear to emit more blue, endowing them with a purple gleam instead of white. So I'm assuming over time, whatever streetlight that you might notice in your area, if you happen to see any of these streetlights turning purple, such as, where did it go? Here we go. Such as any of these, I mean, they really do look like this. Like, I mean, I don't know if I've seen them quite that blue, but I've seen them look pretty blue. Like, yeah, like this one's a great example. It's just, yeah. And in this example, the whole stretch of this roadway, it looks like they're all that same color, probably because they installed them all at the same time, which, it makes sense that they all would have been installed at the same time, and therefore they all degraded at the same time. But I'm assuming when it first starts, it's probably more like this color, and then as the weeks or months roll on, it gets darker and darker, bluer and bluer as it degrades more and more until it ends up about as blue can get. Yeah, here's another good example. But yeah, I've certainly seen that happening more frequently. So let's see here. So over time, the phosphor coating, let's see here. The reason why the purple lights only appeared for a few years after 2021, it has something to do with a batch of recently installed streetlights that were dotted all around the country. In a since deleted statement, that's hilarious, the largest lighting manufacturer in North America called Acuity said in 2023, quote, the referenced purple light effect is due to a spectral shift caused by phosphor displacement seen years after initial installation. The effect occurred in a small percentage of our total population of AEL branded fixtures. And we are not the only lighting manufacturer that has experienced this issue. Well, we're not the only ones. This light output is in no way harmful or unsafe, and we no longer use the light-emitting diodes that cause this spectral shift. End quote. So I assume that the city probably got a warranty for these lights. I would hope. I mean, this is a private company. It is a mass manufacturer. I'm assuming that they manufacture probably hundreds of thousands of streetlights. So I'm guessing that at least my local city must have gotten some sort of a warranty when they installed these things 3-4 years ago. So then that way, this company, this specific company, if they installed my local ones, they're going to come in and replace them at no charge to me, the taxpayer, correct? I don't know, man. In a since deleted statement, I mean, that sounds a little sketchy. So kind of sounds to me like they're trying to perhaps remove any kind of personal accountability on the company. I don't know. Who knows? But anyway, let's see here. So along with many of the affected lights being replaced, it seems lighting manufacturers recognized the issue and phased out the problematic components. As a result, you're unlikely to see this problem reappear in the coming years. Okay, so we're going to have to change out the bulbs. That's basically, the bottom line. Replace the bulbs, won't be an issue anymore. It's kind of cool to know why this is happening, because noticing it happening and then they change the bulbs, it would probably be pretty easy for anybody to just not even really realize what it was that they were seeing without actually either reading this article or even seeing this video. But now you're aware that you're one of the lucky ones who just happens to notice these blue streetlights, and now you know why they're blue. And you also have a sneak peek into the future, and that's a future absent of any blue and purple streetlights. So we're kind of living in a special time right now where we get to enjoy the occasional blue and purple streetlight, but only for a short period of time, because your city is about to change out those bulbs and we're never going to see them again because they discontinued those bulbs. So we're not going to get this issue anymore. At least we're not supposed to. As much as you might enjoy the curious sight of dams and lit streets, that's a good thing. Despite manufacturers' assurance that the purpling was harmless, there is no evidence anyone has been harmed. It's evident that blue light scatters more easily than most other visible light and can make it more difficult for the eyes to focus, especially in low light conditions. So, yeah, I mean, slightly problematic. I mean, it's not going to cause any catastrophic damage to anybody, of course. I mean, it's just a color shifting of the bulbs. It's just a minor inconvenience, if anything. Clearly, the purple and the blue doesn't illuminate as adequately as a white light would, or even an orange light would. So, yeah, they're working on it. And according over here to X, according to good old Grok, why are some LED streetlights purple? I just wanted to get another take on it. I wanted to ask AI to see if I get relatively the same answer, which I did. But some streetlights appear purple due to a defect or degradation in the phosphor coating used in white LEDs. The issue has been observed in various places across the U.S. For example, reports from Charlotte, North Carolina, Vancouver, Washington, they noted thousands of streetlights turning purple due to faulty phosphor coatings in the LEDs. So yeah, if you live in Charlotte, Vancouver, or maybe even North Carolina in general, because it may have been like a state contracted thing where they installed streetlights across the state maybe, or also in Vancouver or across the state of Washington. Yeah, this might be like a real ongoing problem for you, especially if you have issues seeing at night. I mean, I could see that being a problem, especially if you drive like an older car, I drive a 99 Mitsubishi Mirage, and yeah, like the 90s cars, the 80s cars, they don't light up nearly as well as the new cars today do. All those fancy LED headlights and whatnot. Of course, you can get an aftermarket LED bulb and install it if you have an older car, put them in your headlights. They sell universal ones. I have LEDs in my car now, which, funny thing, I think it was Massachusetts, they just recently announced that they're banning that if you have a motor vehicle that has those just standard halogen light bulbs that come with your car in the factory, if you change those out for universal LED headlights, apparently you're breaking the law now in Massachusetts. It's now illegal in that state. So stupid. But yeah, they're blaming it on the headlights are too bright. They're way too bright, and it's blinding people, which, yeah, to be fair, there are a lot of lights out there that are blinding people, but they're not coming from old cars that had their lights changed from incandescent to LED. I think a lot of them are these brand new vehicles, the ones that are made in the last 5 years. They're blinding everybody. Just my opinion. But so anyway, the problem is largely tied to early LED technology or low quality manufacturing. That's a jab at that company. What was that company's name again? Mr. Low Quality, AEL. Acuity in 2023. They make these AEL, which is a registered trademark, branded fixtures, which according to Grok, they are they're low quality. But yeah, anyway, so newer LEDs are designed to be more durable. So if you've noticed this locally, it could be worth checking if your city is addressing it through maintenance or replacement programs, which, like I said, hopefully it's not going to come at the taxpayer's expense. Hopefully whatever company that installed them are going to replace them free of charge, because I'm assuming that they marketed before they got the contract from the state or from the city. I'm sure they said, look, this is the solution to a lot of your tax problems with the cost of lighting up all your streets. If you replace it with ours, you won't have to replace any bulbs for like 30 years. You're only going to use like 30% of the electricity that you would using these old school incandescent bulbs. I could already see how they were marketing these things. Like, it's going to last for decades. It's going to save the taxpayers so much money. And then now they turn purple, and now we already have to replace them after like 3 years. So hopefully that's happening. But anyway, so I asked if my state was fixing the purple LED issue, and it says yes, they are fixing it, or at least they're working on it. FDOT and utility companies like Florida Power and Light and Duke Energy are actively replacing the defective lights. They are defective, which turn purple due to a manufacturing defect in the phosphor coating of LEDs made between 2017 and 2019, primarily by Acuity Brands, Mr. Low quality manufacturer there. FPL, Florida Power and Light, has stated that replacements are underway, which costs covered by the manufacturer under warranty. Hey, there we go. There's that magic word. Though the process is slowed by supply chain issues and the need to locate all affected lights. Let me guess, made in China. It would not surprise me at all. Which were installed at different times. In Central Florida, kind of relevant to me maybe, FDOT has replaced 800 of about 1,000 defective lights, with 200 still pending as of March of 2023. So yeah, those 200 are probably long since changed by then. Miami-Dade, 101 out of 345. Duke Energy, yada yada. Let's see. Let me try this. What about Tampa Bay? Usually it keeps up with the conversation, but I don't know. We'll see. The purple LED streetlight issue caused by yada yada yada. Let's see. Defect 2017-19. We already know. Tico is practically replacing them since at least 2021. Well, I'm still seeing them coming up. Residents can still report purple lights via Tico's online form at tampaelectric.com/forums residential street light out, or by calling the number. It's also replacing defective lights in Hillsborough, Pinellas, that's where I live, and surrounding counties, which with contact numbers for reporting in Miami-Dade, Broward. I don't know why they're telling me that. That's not even close to here. While no exact completion date is provided, they're actively working on replacements, with hundreds already fixed statewide. Anyway, yeah, I just thought I would share that. I came across that and thought, oh, wow, those things are not intentionally blue or purple. I kind of felt that, to be, or I thought it was a bit fascinating. And they actually had some of those installed up and down the beaches, but there wasn't enough for it to be like all the way up and down Gulf Boulevard. But there was a time that I can remember when I first saw them, at least out there, I was like, well, maybe they're trying to cut down on light pollution. Maybe that's why they installed these bluish purple ones around here, because, like the beach, it's dark. I mean, maybe, I don't know, the sea turtles or some shit. I don't know, maybe. But no, apparently not. No, that like none of those were installed intentionally at all. It was just a defect of the LED light bulb. So if you have any of those purple or blue color lights, if they're irritating you, then call your light company, tell them to come change it, and they will. But if you actually kind of like it, especially after you heard about this and that it won't exist for much longer, and you'll never see purple or blue street lights ever again for the rest of your life, then, maybe don't call them. Maybe just forget about it and enjoy it while they still have it up. So, but anyway, that's all I got. See you later.